Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Jamie Hughes Show. My name as always is Jamie Hughes and today I'm going to be giving you my review of the Limehouse Golem. Now if you want to keep up to date with all my latest movie news and reviews, then make sure you hit that subscribe button, and as always in my videos this review may include spoilers, so you have now been warned. So the Limehouse Golem is an awesome blend of genres. You've got suspense, thriller and a little bit of horror thrown in there, mixed together, and it makes an awesome story. And that is a real strength of this movie, is how intriguing and interesting this story is. It grabs you from the very first scene. And one of the really cool things I liked about this movie is that it's almost got two stories running alongside each other. It's the same story, but two different timelines. So you've got the story with Bill Nighy, and he's trying to work out what's happened to Lizzie and trying to free Lizzie, and then you've got the separate timeline which is told through flashbacks, and those two blend together. And that was one of the really interesting things about this movie, is that you kind of already know what's happened, but it's the journey getting there which is so intriguing and interesting, because as I say, even though you kind of know already what the payoff is, it's that journey as you learn different things and little bits of the story is peeled away in scenes where you kind of already knew what had happened, and it was just very interesting to see. It was a very different way of storytelling. It kind of reminded me a little bit in a sense of Memento, not to the, obviously to the same effect, but that story being told with flashbacks and the two timelines run together. As I say, it made for a really interesting story, and it kept me guessing throughout. Another huge positive to this movie is how well crafted and well rounded each character was, because as I said, with this story you kind of already know what's happened, but it takes you on the journey of you actually don't know what's happened, and you know, it's a big game of who's done it, and having those characters that are so interesting and so, again, intriguing that you don't really know what their true motives are, because you've seen a scene in a flashback where you think, well, yeah, you know, this guy or this girl is innocent, but then you've got something that's happened in the future or in the present timeline, and they've done something completely different, and the way that those characters blended in with the story, again, it kept it fresh, it kept it interesting, because you had so many additional characters that were integral to the storyline. It just kept everything really fresh, interesting, and it kept me guessing throughout. And that was a really cool thing about this movie, is that because you know it's a murder mystery essentially, but because you're so intrigued and you're so gripped from the first scene, I spent so much time in this movie second guessing myself and trying to work out who the killer was as it was going. And that was a really great thing, because I've never really sat there before in a movie like this and, you know, been so invested in trying to work out who the killer was. And I won't spoil anything, but when the killer is revealed, it was so well done and just so surprising, but surprising in a really good way. It didn't feel like overkill, and that was, again, a really great testament to all of the characters in this movie, that they kept me guessing and probably most of the audience guessing throughout this movie. And one of the really cool things about this movie was the set pieces and the world building. This movie takes place in 1880 in London, in a small borough called Limehouse. And the way that they made London, probably one of the largest cities in the world at that point, feel so small and so contained was just an extra layer to this movie and an extra layer to the story that worked really well. Because what I liked about the whole world of Limehouse is that as Kildare got closer to the killer, the places he was visiting got smaller. So we started off in Scotland Yard, in the fabric maker's house, really big open buildings, and then as we're getting towards the climax of the movie, he's visiting little alleyways, little houses in alleyways, and almost a labyrinth around Limehouse. And it just really added, I say, this another layer to the story, because it was almost like we were telling the story with set pieces, which you don't really see in movies very often. And it was just a really cool thing that I picked up on that I just wanted to mention to you guys. And that's pretty much it for this review. The only real negative I did have is that maybe they did rush the first kind of 10-15 minutes of this movie, but then after that they slowed it down once again and they picked apart everything they had said in the first 10-15 minutes. So even the negative's not really a negative, because the way they slowed this movie down and picked apart all of the evidence was just a really, again, another cool layer, because you kind of felt like you were in Kildare's shoes for a lot of it, and you were trying to work it out as he was working it out. and yeah, it was just really, really cool. Seriously, go and see this movie if you get a chance. It kind of came out of nowhere. I don't think it's had huge releases in the cinema, so if you do get a chance to see it, definitely go and check it out. But if you have already seen the Limehouse Golem, then let me know what you thought about it down in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this video, I want to give it a subscribe and keep up to date with all my latest movie reviews. I want to give it a like as well, because it just helps me out and lets me know that you are enjoying these reviews. And that is it for this episode of The Jamie Hughes Show. I will see you in the very next episode. Ta-ra.